Hello, welcome to this final video in the series of me having my NHS Right to Choose autism assessment. I have been given, I didn't choose clinical partners, though I've had a pretty good experience with them. In this video, you're going to get my thoughts and feelings about the pre-assessment, during the assessment, post-assessment. There are a lot of clips of me climbing trees, walking through beautiful autumnal woodland. I took my microphone out with me today and forgot to charge it. So there's a lot of talking to camera where you can't hear what I'm saying. I'm going to use this footage because I went and did it and it's beautiful. There's also a section where the next day after I had my assessment, I had 2 meltdowns and I recorded a part of the second one. I'm showing you some of those clips and I am going to talk through what happens there. So I just want to do a bit of a trigger warning now for suicidal adjacent thoughts. Hello. This all follows a lovely story arc and it all makes sense and it's all in the right order. And if it isn't, please bear with me. I'm new at this. I'm having a lot of fun and I hope you get the information that you need. So just to give you a timeline of how we got here, February of this year, I went to the GP with an unrelated issue and asked, what do I need to do to get an autism assessment? We did a bit of the stuff, which you can see in my previous video. I sort of followed it up late spring, early summer. Nothing happened. They said to send a message to the online portal, which I finally did in September. And on the same day, I got a call from clinical partners asking me to contact them to make the first appointment for the first assessment. I had that first assessment. That was the 90-minute one. That was about tasks and creative things. The only thing I remember from that is my green rabbit story. And then November, it's gone a few days ago, having my second assessment, the ADIR, which is up to 3 hours long and is with an informant. The informant is usually somebody that has known you for a long time, preferably from childhood, usually parents, obviously, long-time friends, etc. So the assessor said the ADIR is split into 4 sections. She didn't actually say what they were, but the literature says that there are 3. The areas that I sort of can deduce from the questions and what I remember were around mental markers, like when you start talking, when you start walking, the appropriateness of social conduct, hand-eye coordination. Like she literally asked my friend, if I point at something, am I able to point at the thing that I want to point at? But then she said this test is actually designed for young children. Also around hyperfocus, repeating phrases and routines, asked about my general mental health across my life and also that of my sister, and also asking about as a child, was I able to sleep, was I able to settle? Like I say, a lot of the questions were about pre-5. In the preparation for the assessment, they ask you about school reports. I only read this information the night before. I do have my school reports somewhere. I couldn't find them. I didn't need them. Maybe it would have been helpful, but I think more the questions were about what a primary caregiver would know about you as you are developing. So I didn't have my school reports. They allow 3 hours for this final assessment, and we had a rushed ending. It did actually end up being 3 hours and 6 minutes. She told me that she would be doing the results call after she's spoken to the assessor that did my first assessment, but she didn't say how we were going to arrange for that assessment call. We had quite a hectic ending because we'd run over. I was conscious that I needed to get to work, as did my friend, and I guess the assessor also just wanted to wrap it up. So that was the only. She didn't give any indication as to what she was thinking around autism. I don't think I received any clues. It just felt like she was asking the question she was supposed to. But at the end, she did ask me if I thought about inattentive ADHD. So that was affirming in a different way and was a little unexpected. So we finished, got my stuff together, and left. Didn't have any transition time. Drove an hour to Nottingham, and then I did my initial thoughts video, which I will insert here. I am doing my before my assessment thoughts and feelings. I'm not dressed for you. I am unprepared. It's early-ish in the morning, like it's not massively early. There's something about the way that I'm feeling and the way that I'm presenting that I think illustrative of an internal process. Obviously, everything is an illustration of an internal process, but there's something about my internal dissociative process. Well, yeah. I feel fine this morning, actually. This is Crinkle, by the way. I woke up this morning about half an hour ago and feel fine. I woke up this morning feeling okay. I've had a good sleep. I wear a Garmin and it tells me that I had a good sleep. I can feel that I had a good sleep. Like it was pretty uninterrupted. And 8 hours, 8 hours of decent uninterrupted sleep. I feel okay. I feel apprehensive, trepidatious. I also felt a little bit like, oh, it's a lot of effort that I'm going to have to get up and sort out recording and talking and all of that. But I do want to. This is an important part of this is an important part of the process for me for reflection, but I also think for other people. The reason why I'm recording it is to show other people what it's like. And what I feel like beforehand is I don't know as I feel very much. I know what I had been feeling before. I think my biggest concern, other than what if they don't diagnose me as autistic, is I'm about to hear my best friend's perspective on her experience of me. Few things running through my mind when I think about that. I've had a few experiences this week where I've had to rely on other people, sort of retail people and service people, and they've let me down. And there's nothing worse for me as a toxically independent adult woman that is pretty good at sorting herself out. When I have to rely on other people and they don't sort me out, that's a real challenge. So I think me and my friend both have a bit of a, oh, I hope I get it right for you. But of course, there's also the, well, let's just be genuine and authentic. And that should be fine. Everything should be fine in the world if we're all just genuine and authentic. We can see that that's not true, and there is a system at play, and sometimes it pays to play the system, but you can only play if you know the rules. And I suppose we know the rules. We know what the criteria of autism are, but we're also not going into it to play the rules. Like, there's a little bit of me that's concerned that she'll be self-conscious because I'm going to be a part of this meeting, and maybe she'll edit herself so as not to hurt me. Talk about a double-edged sword. I mean, great, don't. I'm a little bit concerned. Like, I couldn't find my school reports. Very few memories of my entire growing up experience. Yeah, I know I have my reports somewhere. I don't think I have school reports for 3, 4, and 5 though. I don't think we start getting reports until junior school. So I'm a bit annoyed at myself for not preparing properly. This is a long-standing problem of mine. I don't feel nervous. I feel like I need to get dressed for it. Like I feel vulnerable. I think that's the feeling that's going on. I want to hide here, put my hood up, and I just, you two just go and talk about me. I'll just stay over here. But I think now as I'm speaking, actually, I'm finding it helpful to be speaking out loud about how I am feeling, and it feels like it's clearing the way a little, and I feel a little bit more energized, and it doesn't feel like such a hardship to stand up and put clean clothes on. Actually, there's a curiosity in me now and a bit of a giddiness about, oh, what's this going to be like? This is exciting. So maybe this is the ADHD part of me that's like, oh, a new thing, a new person, a new process. In this newness is judgment, ultimately. Very deep part of me that was basically told that they were wrong their whole life. I've just woken up to the possibility that we're about to get the biggest almighty wrong of our life. I've been working on my resilience. I've been working on my self-love. I've been working on my regulation skills. And if I'm feeling okay this evening, I have a friend on standby. Very lucky about. I'm gonna draw. I like to do unconscious drawings from time to time. Sometimes I like to do them every day. Mostly it is just, I don't know, once or twice a week. I use wax crayons, so we're not getting into making pretty pictures and drawings of specific things. It is just, well, how do I feel? What colour do I? Oh, that is a specific thing. That is tiny mushrooms in a log surrounded by moss. But I'm going to do one of these now, and I'm going to do one afterwards. Here is the most recent one because I bloody love autumn. Getting ready for the biggest judgment of my life. Coming up next is the first video that I recorded in my car when I arrived in Nottingham. But I just wanted to capture briefly the buzz, I guess. I've also exchanged a message with my informant. I said, do you think I was autistic enough? And she said yes. Now I'm very aware that it's been a very intense morning. I've been connected to a lot of my past. I can feel it in my brain. I can feel it in my body. It's definitely an experience that I'm going to need to come down from. My heightened energy is a good thing. I'm open and available for contact, and I will contact, and we will work well. And then I will crash. I would like to think that there is a slow descent into whatever it is that I get to. I suspect there may be a shutdown later. Right now I'm riding off the waves of that activity and the connections to different parts of me actually as well, which is an interesting thing to be aware of. It was an enjoyable 3 hours. It was a nice conversation. It was interesting to go into my past. A lot of the questions are about pre 5 years old, of which I have little information. I spoke a lot about the different feelings that I remember, which is an interesting thing considering there's a big chunk of my life where I was dissociated. So remembering the feeling response from when I was really young and then remembering the feeling responses as an adult, that's the reliable memory that I have, is how I feel about something, rather than often the narrative memory. So that came up a lot. I arrived in Nottingham, I did my video. I had a provisional friend date booked for that evening if I needed somebody to spend time with, to talk things through, to process. But I was aware once I'd got to Nottingham that I was feeling so activated that I would need some space on my own later. So I cancelled that date and went home after work. The next day when I first got up, I sat down and spoke to camera for half an hour, giving my immediate, after a night's sleep, thoughts and experiences. And then I was getting ready to go meet a friend. So I finished speaking, got up and realised I hadn't turned the camera on. And that began the tone of the day. Hindsight tells me my nervous system was activated from spending 3 hours diving deep into the memories of a lifetime of sadness and confusion and just generally feeling wrong. Plus I got to hear, quite unusually I think, about my friend's perspective of me, that I'm more blunt than I thought more often, that I say or do things in an appropriate way more than I thought, and that my resting autistic face is on much more than I ever realised, and people just think I'm not having a good time. So I went and met my friend, we got into town. Once we finally found the correct tram to be on, we overshot the stop, so then we had to get off, we had to get back on again, got back, got to the correct stop, started walking in the wrong direction, which is the usual thing for me, and sometimes we joke about. Today this was not a joking matter, and as we approached the front of the tram, other people walked in front of the tram, and the tram blared its horn, and my goodness, that is loud. And I had a meltdown, there and then, ugly crying in public. My friend was there, but we don't know this about each other, so she did her best. We crossed the road and sat down and just, yeah. After sitting for 15-20 minutes and sort of trying to bring my emotions down, we went off to the museum as we planned, had a nice time learning a bit about the history of Sheffield, walked into town, had some of the best chips going, and then I walked my friend back to the train station, and then to home. Home is my safe place where I can control the environment. It's quieter, it's where I go to regulate. And my favourite way of regulating is if things are being a bit too much. I will scroll on Instagram with full permission because it gives my brain and body a break. Hello, yappy dog. One of my favourite sounds. It gives my brain and body a break from each other. So my brain is engaged in Instagram so my body can calm down. Here is a screenshot from my watch which shows you that it was working. But then I saw this and this, and I fell into a pit of despair, sadness, anger, rage, helplessness, and I was weighed down by this is too hard. I can't cope. How am I supposed to do this? What's the point? It's never going to change. I'm only getting worse. There really isn't anything else that I can do to be able to manage myself in life. There's nobody here to help me manage myself. What is the point? So here is some of the clips of me after the worst of the meltdown. After about half an hour, 45 minutes, my brain started to come back online, and I could think a little and remember that there are people out there. So this 15 minutes is after I'd sent a message in a group chat that I'm in to say I'm not okay. And you'll see through these clips me checking my watch. This is people sending messages and voice notes of encouragement, empathy, love, offering to have a phone call, offering for me to go and stay with them, even if I can't do people at the minute, like they'd just be in the next room. And that's the biggest thing that I'm taking from this experience is the idea of people in the next room, even if they're not the proverbial next room. There's people that love me, there's people that care about me, there's people that don't want this for me and they want me to feel better. If I feel like that again, I know they're just in the next room. Okay, so here is me grounding myself, regulating, stepping onto the track of love and care, stepping off the track of sadness, fear, and despair. Swaying is my movement of choice, and here is me feeling myself. I am here, I'm here and now, grounding myself in the sensations of my body and feeling the 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 bones of me. And then this is something that I discovered during a mushroom trip last year. Fine. So a few days after my day of meltdowns, and I'm feeling on a level again. From referral to diagnosis, hopefully diagnosis, it was 9 months. It was really clear communication. Like I can't really fault clinical partners. The only thing that I would say is when they send the email reminders about your appointments, it would be good to include like a reminder about the things that you should be doing in preparation. There was a booklet sent to me at some point that does have all of that information in. I didn't know that at the beginning and I forgot about that at the end. It just might be nice to have some kind of link to something or say, please read the booklet and make sure that you're prepared for it. I don't know. It is on me, but also that would be helpful. We're neurodivergent after all. The other thing that I would quite like is after you've finished an assessment, that there's like an online portal or something, maybe for 2 days afterwards. So if any memories pop up that are related to the questions that they asked, but obviously just brain freeze, overwhelm, whatever, it is an overwhelming, pretty intense process. So things are going to be forgotten. It'd be nice to have a place to just say, oh, in relation to this thing that you asked, I've remembered that this thing happened. I asked my friend after we finished the assessment if she thought that I had been autistic enough, and she laughed and said yes. So overall, it's been an enjoyable experience. I appreciate the opportunity to deep dive into my past and to have a focused occasion in which to do this. It has also been hard. I was already planning to restart therapy in a few weeks. That has been in the offing for a long time. So I'm really looking forward to, now that I am cracked open, but holding myself together to go there, have this opportunity to talk just about myself and process some stuff. Like I know myself very well. I'm sure there's more stuff to know, And we're back to today. I hope you've enjoyed this walk through nature and hearing about this process. Things that I enjoyed were just having the space to talk about me, to hear a bit more about how I am perceived by others, as difficult as that was. Challenging, of course. I think surprisingly so, even for me, who's pretty switched on, very self aware, emotionally aware, it was a lot. So I would say for anybody that is going through this process, give yourself grace, take time. You need self compassion, you need regulating time, you need space around the appointments. It's a lot. My opinion of clinical partners is positive, other than what I've already said about what I'd like for after the appointments. I can't really fault their communication otherwise. The spoken communication, very reassuring, very friendly, approachable. They answer questions before you thought to ask them. Perfect. If you got to the end of this, thank you very much. I appreciate you. If you are as intrigued as I am as to what the verdict is, please subscribe and you will get notified when my next video is uploaded. I hope you've learned something from my experience, or at least felt like it's not just you. If there's anything that I've not answered and you'd like to know, or just general questions about my experience, please just drop them in the comments. Thanks. I